How did you end up fighting Mike Tyson 25 years ago? Flew out here at the start of January. He was out here for the whole month.
Yeah.
So he was here for 28 days before you fought on the 29th in year 2000.
Our paths were destined to meet.
He was in Brixton, he was in Manchester, he was everywhere. It was madness.
Yeah, and I knew that I could box. It didn't even kind of really occur to me that I would fight him.
A 40-year career on the doors.
I was a kickboxer, taekwondo, boxing. I've done all of these things. So I know what I used to do in gloves.
Boxpark Wembley. Tell me about that time when you pummeled that kid on a right-hander to shut him up.
Yeah, well, they're not little.
Have you ever been on the doors and thought, I could lose my life here?
Oh, yeah. And a guy jumps out of the car and he's got a handgun. He's pointing at me. So all I'm doing is looking down the barrel of the gun.
Do you know how much Mike Tyson got paid to fight you? Julius, welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much, Dodge. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, mate. Really looking forward to this one. It was interesting, you know, when you gave me a call on the 29th of January this year, a couple of weeks ago, and said, Dodge, today was the day 25 years ago when I fought Mike Tyson.
That would have been the day, yeah, 25 years ago, 29th of Jan.
And you said, I'm ready to get on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely, to maybe tell my story, you know what I mean? Yeah, the crazy story.
Mate, you've certainly lived some life, mate. We're talking boxing, we're talking 40 years working on the doors, we're talking crazy, we're talking all sorts. But Julius, I want to roll all the way back. How did you end up fighting Mike Tyson 25 years ago?
That was, well, it kind of, you have to go back further than that then, because 99 was a good year. For me in boxing, it was a good year. I had won the British title. I was British champion. I'd won the British title in 97. Hadn't defended it, but I'd fought 97, 98. I'd fought I fought Klitschko.
Vitaly in Germany.
In Germany, and I fought Axel Schultz in Germany as well. I think that was for the European title. I went 12 rounds with him. I thought I won the fight, but I gave it to him.
Yeah.
Klitschko was a different story because he was I didn't know anything about him, and he was, as far as I was concerned, he was a new kid on the block. But when we went to Germany to fight, and I can't remember exactly where it was in Germany. I think the fight might have been in Cologne.
Yeah, okay.
It might very well have been in Cologne. Vladimir was on the poster. Vitaly was the one that got in the ring.
Is that right?
Yeah. Vladimir was on the poster.
Right, okay.
Vitaly got in the ring, so I fought the big guy. 2 rounds with him. The fight went 2 rounds. It was a strange fight because I wasn't worried about him or anything. Didn't know anything about him. Got in the ring with him, started fighting him. 2 rounds. First round, ducking and diving, trying to stay away with his jab. Long, awkward, tall, you know. Got into the body, and that's where I was going to go because he was so tall. The second round, when he hit me in the second round, I actually thought someone had come from behind because I didn't know the Germans, obviously. But I thought someone had got in the ring and hit me from behind around the head, behind me. Right. And I got up and kind of looked round. So what the fuck was that? Actually, what the fuck was that? You know, but he was that guy that, you know, when he clumped you, you know, he was.
What's your thought process when you're going, right, we want you to go to Germany and fight Vitaly Klitschko? Who was your manager at the time?
Frank Maloney.
Frank Maloney.
Yeah.
And how long have you been with Frank?
I'd been with Frank from the outset of my pro career.
Is that right?
Yeah, because Frank, the way I met Frank was through my amateur trainer, who knew, I don't know how my amateur trainer knew him.
Yeah.
I boxed out of an amateur club in Woolwich called St Peter's.
Yeah.
Had a couple of good fighters, good amateur fighters, and they produced one professional fighter. His name was Winston Wilson, who'd become, I know Winston had become Southern Area, I think it was Southern Area welterweight champion or something like that. You know, tall, slim, but he was welterweight champion, I think. And you know, that's kind of basically where my manager introduced me to
Frank.
Yeah,
okay. And what roughly year are we talking here, would you say?
Oh God, that would have been
early 90s.
I actually turned pro in 93.
Okay.
Yeah, 1993. But again, you kind of have to go back further than that because 1990 or 1989, I was inside, came out of Nick, and I used to do kickboxing as well.
Hold on. You went to Nick. What'd you go to Nick for?
Oh, loads of different things. But this time they had me for firearms, drugs, ABH with intent or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But they were trying to fit me up.
Yeah, okay.
I promise they was trying to fit me up.
Did they catch you with firearms?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Did they catch you with any drugs on you or anything?
No, they planted drugs on me.
They planted drugs on you?
Yes,
Who planted drugs on you?
The old Bill.
Did they?
Please, sir.
Where?
Again, I worked on the door at a club. The club now is down by, I don't know if you know the Blackwall Tunnel South. Yeah. South London, Blackwall Tunnel. Mm. The club now is called 338.
Yeah.
Right. It weren't 338, so it's no disparaging disparaging on the people that own the club or whatever now. But it used to be called the Tunnel Club because it was right by Blackwall Tunnel. Me and a few of my mates was working it. We worked the door. We used to have the good DJs used to come down there. I don't want to name drop, but good DJs used to go down there. And it was a place where obviously there was drug taking, and other little bits and pieces used to go on. Anyway, the police raided it. They done a raid on the place. And obviously I'm on the door. They come crashing through the door. We get arrested. They nick a load of people. But they dragged me out and give me an absolute walloping. And you know, I look back on it and I kind of think to myself, I laugh at it now because I'm out and free and whatever. But at the time, when I was actually in the dock, and I remember going to court, and my barrister said to me, "If you get 10 years, we'll appeal it." And I was like, "What?"
Oh yeah.
If I get 10 years, that's like my life is done.
Yeah.
So he said, if you get anything under 7, you'll just have to swallow it. And I'm like, I'm not fucking doing fuck all.
Yeah.
Because in my head, and I was a bit crazy. I was a bit wild then, I suppose. And obviously knowing that I'd been fitted up, they tried to paint me as I was some kind of yardie gangster. Back then I used to have locks as well. Okay. So, you know, they tried to paint me as like this kind of yardie gangster, mad, crazy person. And I had my issues, but, you know, I wasn't that guy, you know. And then came out
so I want to carry on with that bit there. How did they fit you up? Did they say that you had arms?
No.
Did they say so?
Yeah, they said I had arms. They said I had firearms. They, one of the coppers that arrested me, that was one of them that arrested me, said that I attacked him as the police were coming into the venue doing their raid. Yeah. That as the police came through the door, I attacked one of them with a knife.
Well, they just
that's
made
what
that
he said. Yes, that's what he said. He said, and I'll never forget this. He said, as he came through the door, Francis raised up his right arm and struck me across my chest with a knife. All right, so
totally made up.
Yeah, it was all bullshit. Yeah, all bullshit. And then obviously they say so they go through this trial and whatever. How did he strike you? He raised his right arm up and he came across my chest, blah, blah, blah. So they said, right, now, so they have to produce the evidence. Yeah. So he brought out a stab vest or whatever. It had a little mark across the bottom of it, across here. That's what he showed, a little mark across the bottom. So that was that. Then he said, we took we got Francis on the floor, blah, 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 searched him, and we took a bag full of pouches of white powder. White pouches, white powder. When it came to court, it was a blue, they have their, you know, do all their evidence or whatever. So it was a blue pouch with white powder. And they, you know how they talk and give their evidence and all this. And I never forget, I'm in court and I'm thinking, on the first day of the trial, and I'm saying, fucking hell, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
You know, and then when we did, the prison guards was taking us back to prison, like to I think I might have been in Scrubs. I think I might have been in Workman Scrubs at the time. I'm reminded in Scrubs. And he said to me, you know, you're getting not guilty. And I was like, I'm always thinking worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That's me, a worst case scenario.
And everything's a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next day the trial continued. And then when I came to the verdict, and then they gave me a not guilty, they started gave me not guilty. And the judge actually lambasted the coppers for all the shit that they were trying to do. I remember that. And kind of, I have to talk about it, but because it happened.
Yeah.
I was working, got out.
How long were you in for?
I was on remand for about 9 months.
Wow, being on remand must be the worst. Just not knowing.
Not
right?
knowing, yeah, because and they moved me as well because I was in Brixton.
Yeah,
they moved me to Scrubs and Pentonville or something like this.
Okay. Who else did they nick with you?
Oh, there was a few people, but I was kind of one of the only ones that went on trial, as far as I know.
Right. Okay.
But there was loads of people nicked, but because I remember they took us about 3 different police stations. And I ended up in, we ended up in Elton Police Station. They took us to Deptford. I'm not sure if they took us to Woolwich and Elton. I know that's where I ended up, in Elton. And then from Elton, court and on remand. And it was just a long process. Yeah. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was just horrible.
And you're in what, roughly late 20s at this point?
No, I was in
early.
Hold on, that would have been 89. So
okay, mid 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What sort of personality were you at that time? What were you? How would you describe Julius back in the 20s then?
Oh God, I was a little bit out of control.
Yeah.
And when I look back on that person now, definitely. You know, I was kind of game for anything as well. I was kind of game for anything. And I think, that was kind of maybe part of my, my endearing side of me, and part of the other side of me that was the darker side of me, I'd say.
Yeah.
You know, because, even going back even further than that, I was brought up in care. Had quite a bit of, not by my foster parents, I was brought up by foster parents, but in my early life, I was kind of like I did suffer quite a bit of I would say abuse, physical abuse. Not from my dad.
Okay.
And sometimes it is a little bit hard to talk about because as much as I love him, is he
still about today?
Yeah. He was quite an abusive man, you know, and that's how we grew up.
Okay. And where you grew up in Woolwich?
Abbeywood. So I was born in Peckham.
Yeah.
Moved to Abbeywood when we was young. I had my elder sister, myself, a younger brother and a younger sister.
Yeah.
So there was 4 of us.
Was your old man just abusive to you or to your other sisters and brothers?
I don't ever remember him being what I would say abusive to my other siblings. My oldest sister, she suffered with diabetes.
Yeah.
So she was forever in and out of hospital.
Yeah.
That's why I have a phobia of hospitals.
Yeah.
My younger brother, I think because he saw what happened to me, the sort of things that happened to me, he never kind of opened his mouth. My younger sister was a little bit different because I felt that she was a bit spoiled.
Yeah.
Daddy's girl.
When you say abusive, give me an example of how abusive he would be to you. And at what age roughly were you when you were getting abused?
I'm talking about 5 and 6, 7.
What, give you a whack round the head?
No. A whack round the head. If there's a whack round the head, I'd have been laughing.
Yeah.
All right then. I'll tell you a story. My dad came home from work, and I don't think Dad lived at home for a lot of the time. I don't think as I remember.
And your mum was at home as well?
My mum was at home, yeah. But again, my mum suffered from mental health issues.
Okay.
So, and she wasn't, my mum wasn't a bad, my mum was a really loving woman, lovely, lovely woman. What I remember and the times I was able to spend.
She's still with us?
No,
okay.
She died, but she died.
Yeah.
So I remember my dad coming home from work, and it was either 1970 or 71. I think it might have been 71 because it was when the decimalisation came in, the new 10 pences.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I remember. So anyway, we're all in there. We lived in a masonette, block of masonettes. And Dad was home. We're all in the front room. I say, can I go out into the kitchen, go and get a drink? I go in the kitchen, but come out the front room door, and then go in the kitchen. The kitchen would be on the left, stairs on the right, up to the bedrooms upstairs, 3 bedrooms. But my dad's coat is hanging over the banister. There's me, as you do. Look around. Dip me hand in. I've got 10 pence. Run upstairs. Scurf that away. Come down. Still do the same thing again. 3 times I did it. The 4th time, I get caught with my hand in his pocket. And so my dad decides, right, I don't know where I don't know if he decides to do it, but he takes me, I'm 6, 7, skinny little kid, and he takes me and puts the stove on and holds my hands over the heat. Yeah, the fire. Both my hands over the fire. So that was one, for instance. He beat me with curtain wires and belts and sticks and whatever. So, and I it's weird, but I look on I love my dad, and he's an old man now, and I always tried to do the best.
Yeah.
And to please him, because I wanted to make him proud of me.
Have you had this conversation with your old man since as 2 adults?
I have.
Did he want to hear it?
No, not really. It's kind of like that thing that goes in and goes out kind of thing, and I have to say, at this point, I've got to go, what do I do with it? What do I do with it? How, do I get any redress or anything like that? No, you don't. You just have to get on with life, I suppose, so then. Did
you have anger inside you because of those days?
Hell yeah. There was a lot of.
Okay.
But, so we went into care.
Why did you go into care?
Because my mum was ill.
Okay.
My mum was ill.
And your old man couldn't look after 4 kids?
My dad never lived at home with us. So by the time we went into care, we was taken into care. What happened, my younger brother and sister my older sister, I think she was away in either hospital or, because back then in the 70s, they never used to look after, because my sister was diabetic. She wouldn't be looked after at home like they do now. Yeah. So she'd go away to maybe special places or whatever. My younger brother and sister, they was obviously, so they ran away from home because there was obviously at the time, not knowing, there was no food in the house, and my mum was really ill.
Yeah.
So she couldn't look after us anyway. So they ran away, got on a bus from Abbeywood to Lewisham, not knowing exactly where my aunt lived, but they eventually found it. They found my aunt's place, and then obviously my dad was contacted, and then they came looking for me because I stayed at home and I didn't want to leave my mum.
Yeah.
I think I was a bit of a mummy's boy.
Yeah.
Because I loved being around my mum. When my mum was in the kitchen, I wanted to be in the kitchen. Mum, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you cut potatoes? I remember asking her, and I remember her showing me how to cut potatoes.
What was that feeling like when you had to go to a care? Was it had to go to a care home, or was it someone said you got to go to a care home?
Yeah. I was 10.
Yeah, okay. And was it your old man said you got to go to a care home?
No. I think we had we did have social work. We had a social worker even before then, before that time. And as I remember, people used to come to the house. Yeah. We went to a Catholic school where we had nuns, like dressed in habits and stuff like that. So on a couple of occasions, I remember them coming around to the house as well, like giving us Christmas presents at one time and bringing food and just checking up on us and whatever. But yeah, when the time when my brother and sister had left the house and gone to they'd gone to my aunt's, and my dad, I remember leaving my mum in the house and I most probably had about 1 or 2 pence and went round to the shop because I wanted to get some sweets because I was hungry. And I remember it was a really rainy, cold night. I've walked round to the shops from where I live, and as I've walked round to the shops, my dad has actually come driving along, but I was desperate to go back to my mum.
Where was your dad originally from?
My dad's St Lucian.
St Lucian, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad's St Lucian, my mum was Jamaican.
And they come over Windrush?
No, my dad came over, I think they both came over either 59 or 60. Okay.
So when did you sort of building up anger inside you and whatever? What were you like in your sort of 18, 19, 20s? Were you going out, clubbing, partying, madness?
Yeah, we did all of that.
As we all did,
definitely did all of that.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of, again, in Woolwich, growing up in Woolwich in the late 70s, early 80s, around that time, there was a lot of, the National Front was around, but it might have been early stages of the BNP, but the National Front definitely. So the National Front used to come through Woolwich from either Dartford and kind of all those kind of outskirts and come through. And we had, again, growing up in Abbey Wood, we had the gypsy site. Yeah. We had a big gypsy site. So there was always this kind of underlying tension. Yeah. Always. When I grew up in Abbey Wood, there was only 4 black families in the whole of Abbey Wood. So there was an issue, but we didn't look on it as though we stand out, stick out. We just, if we was playing as kids, you go from one place to the other place, get your friends, and go and do what you're doing. I remember one big Irish family who we got on with, and kids will be kids, So that's
was there. Did you know back then that you were getting racially abused or screwed? It was the norm, was it?
Yeah, it was just normal. Like it was just. I don't think as kids you don't know racism. Yeah, and you don't know. You just know that maybe you might be different for some reason. Yeah, But there was no. There was one. There was a guy who lived on the same level as us, on the top level of this masonette. So I think there was 6 or 7 flats on the landing, and he lived about 2 or 3 doors down. We had a friend at the end who lived on the very end, right? So as kids we used to play. But if you walked past his house, I never knew this, But if you walk past his house, he would come out and start screaming and shouting at us. All right. Unbeknownst to me, and it's only later on in life that I found out, but he was South African.
Yeah.
So obviously he'd come over from South Africa. So he had his kind of views of black people, whatever it was. And I remember one time he actually pushed my mum down the outside stairs. And my mum, I remember saying to not say anything to my dad.
Wow.
But then as kids you do,
yeah.
My dad was going to chuck me over the balcony.
Yeah.
So, and my dad was a big, strong man.
Yeah.
You know.
When you went into Nick on remand for those 9 months, and when you came out, did you come out a different person? Was it a wake up call? I think.
At that time, when I did, yeah. Because I came out and I said before I came out, I said to myself, before I went to trial, I said, if I get off with this case, I want to do something. I'm going to try and do something with my fighting. I didn't know at the time what I was going to do. I didn't know I was going to be a professional boxer. At the time, I was doing kickboxing, kung fu, karate, and boxing, taekwondo and boxing, yeah. So I did it all. And I thought I could fight, you know. I just kind of, I was fit and strong and whatever, but I didn't know that I was ever going to be. My amateur trainer, he's the one that kind of, he always would say to me, you carry on, you're going to be able to get somewhere, you're going to be able to do something, you know. And
what did Frank Maloney see in you, do you reckon?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think it was what he saw in me. It was what my trainer really, my first amateur trainer, he was the one that would always say to me, you can do it. You can, and he would always talk to me about the British title, about the Lonsdale belt, and how he never got to fight and see it because he was an old time fighter from maybe the 30s or 40s, and how he knew about the Lonsdale belt, but he was never able to get one. Yeah, you know. And I suppose when I turned pro, I remember when I turned pro, I wasn't able to.
How old were you when you turned pro?
I was 28.
28, okay.
Yeah, 27, 28. 90, it was 93 I turned pro. So I was about 20, 27, just turned 27, 28. So when I did turn pro, I got slung out the ABAs. They actually threw me out the ABAs because I boxed unlicensed. I boxed on an unlicensed show. And obviously that was frowned upon. Yeah. So I'd won the, what had I done? I'd won the South East Division, won the London, and that's when I fought Audley the first time. Yeah. Audley Harrison, beat Audley Harrison in the Londons. And then going on to the Nationals, but they found out I'd boxed on an unlicensed boxing. So they slung me out.
So the journey of you becoming a professional boxer to actually fighting Klitschko as a pro would have been 3, 4, 5 years before you went and fought him. What's that feeling like, you knowing that you're going out to Germany? Do you remember how much you got paid for that fight?
No, I don't remember.
Do you remember?
I don't remember how much. It wasn't a lot. I wouldn't imagine it was a lot.
And who would that have been, under Frank?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your relationship like with Frank? And how would you describe Frank Maloney before Kelly Maloney?
I've always had a good relationship with Frank. Yeah. I think, I remember when they used to have the offices in, I think it was, what was the market? It was a big market down by Liverpool Street.
The Borough Market?
No, further up. Further up by just opposite Liverpool. Yeah, I can't remember. I know, but they used to have offices up there when Lennox and Panos was there. Yeah. And when I met Frank,
proper character, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Proper character.
I think the first time I actually met Frank, I met him at his house. He had a house in Chislehurst, and I remember going up to the house. I think, that was a really nice house. Really nice house. I'd like to have a house like this one day, and I did. I actually bought a house. the next road up from where Frank. Yeah,
quality.
Yeah. So that was kind of like one of those things. You know what I mean? You go, I've actually kind of like, in a way, kind of not made it, but you know, that's definitely a dream. Was.
And how long were you with Frank Maloney for?
My whole of my career.
Your whole career.
Yeah, my whole of my career. Even when
how would you explain Frank?
Frank is an enigma. He's a ball of energy.
Yeah,
definitely a bundle of energy. When that person that I knew, passionate about the fight game, and obviously he had Lennox, because Lennox was the big name at the time. Non-stop in the office, just non-stop. He was always on the go.
Proper promoter.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And I suppose with me, because maybe I was a bit of an unknown quantity.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. But he didn't really hold, sometimes he didn't hold back on me. He just kind of like go, you know, you fucking done this, you fucking done that, you know what I mean? You should have done this, you should have done that. But it is what it is. Sometimes you need that kick up the arse, you know? But what he did for me, which was good as far as my boxing career was concerned, is that he didn't mollycoddle me. When I think I had 2 pro fights, and then he sent me out to America.
Yeah.
Right. He said I went out to, I think it was Washington, the first time I was out in America with Lennox.
Yeah.
To go and spar with Lennox. And I was only 2 fights in.
Yeah.
But that experience was invaluable.
I'm sure.
Because I went into the gym. I got to spar with Lennox. I got to spar with fighters like Andrew Galotta, who fought Riddick Bowe a couple of times for the world title. I sparred with what's his name, Ross Purity. Ross Purity, who actually beat one of the Klitschko's.
Yeah.
That guy was, I don't know where he got his strength from, but he was immensely strong.
Yeah. Who's the biggest puncher that you've come across in your career? The one that's whacked you around the chops, you've gone, Jesus.
Oh God. There's been a few. There's been a few, believe me, there's been a few. I remember, do you remember the fighter Pele Reid? He hit me with a right uppercut.
Yeah.
And I swear, I had birds and stars. My God, he was a puncher. Obviously I'd been knocked down by Klitschko, and Oleg Meskaev, he hit me, but he hit me well, but the ref jumped in way too early. Yeah, but he was strong. Frank Bruno, I think Frank Bruno is arguably one of the most powerfulest men I've ever been in the ring with.
Is that right?
Mate, at the time,
he was a proper specimen, wasn't he? Physique and strength.
And I sparred with Frank the fight before he fought Lennox.
Yeah.
So if you look at Frank Bruno then, and when he got into the ring with Lennox, he was such a fucking unit.
Yeah.
He was absolutely unbelievably strong. He was like strong like a horse.
Yeah.
Just mad strength, you know.
What's Lennox like?
Lennox was a great athlete.
Yeah.
Lennox was strong, and he could dig, and he could. This is the thing I say about Lennox. And unfortunately, I can't put Lennox at the top of the best heavyweights in the world.
Who would you put as the best heavyweight in the world?
I would still say Ali.
Apart from Ali.
Then I'd have to say Lennox.
Okay.
Because, and that's only because I've having.
Is that because you were in his stable as well with Frank and the relationship?
Yeah, I think. Like even with Lennox, I had a good relationship with Lennox. Yeah. You know, we sparred and we had laughs and jokes and whatever. He was good. He was good. Quality. Yeah. Very, very good athlete.
Yeah.
I remember sparring with him the first time he was champion. Then after he lost, and then when he came back, So
Was he different?
Yeah. Definitely. The second time he was more focused, much more focused, much more on the ball, on the game.
If you're saying Ali is your number one and Lennox Lewis your number two, who would be your number three?
God. It's, I've got a lot of fighters in, say, my top 10, top 15, but I wouldn't know where to put them all.
Okay.
Because like you got the likes of Joe Louis, Jack Johnson, Marciano, even like guys that never won world titles.
Yeah.
And then you have to include this crop of heavyweights, the 21st century crop of heavyweights. Would
Usyk be, if we were saying top 10, and you don't know where to put people, would you have Usyk in your top 10?
God, it's difficult because I would have loved to have seen Usyk and Holyfield fight.
Yeah,
because that would have been what a fight that would have been. Yeah. So, and then would I have said that Usyk could have beaten Lennox? That's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would I have said that an Anthony Joshua would have beaten Frank Bruno?
Who do you think would win out of Anthony Joshua and Frank Bruno at their peak?
I think I would say Bruno for his tenacity.
Yeah.
And the fact that the thing with Bruno, if he hit you, you stayed here 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just his power, his physical power. And I'm not being disparaging to Anthony Joshua, but I think for me personally, growing up with those heavyweights and working with those, we never spoke to each other on the fight. If I was fighting you, you don't have my phone number. We're not friends. Yeah. The only time I want to see you is at either a press conference or the fight. That's it. I'm not talking to you and being friends with you and having laughs and jokes.
Would Tyson Fury be in your top 10?
He might be in the top 15, 20.
Okay.
But I can't, because there was such a great crop of heavyweights from the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. If you went down, say if you took the top 10 heavyweights from 1990, 89, 90, I think the majority of them could have all been world champions.
Yeah.
Could have all been world champions, top 10 in the world. They could have all been world champions. It's only that the fact that Tyson was there, Holyfield was there. Yeah. You had fighters like what's his name, John Lyle, and Larry Holmes. How many fighters nowadays would be able to have coped with a Larry Holmes?
Do you think George Foreman was the biggest puncher of the lot? seen some
again,
like Jesus.
Again, I actually watched that movie.
That movie, good movie.
And it was an eye opener as well.
Yeah.
It was an eye opener. And George Foreman was definitely the Tyson of his day. 100% the Tyson of his day. Knocked out everybody. Anybody that he hit, apart from Ali, went over. Look what he did to Joe Frazier. And Frazier was murdering everybody. Yeah. So, and he absolutely went in and destroyed him.
So let's fast forward to year 2000. The big one. How on earth did you get the fight with Mike Tyson? How did that come about?
Right. So
and tell me about but also tell me the month, because Mike flew out here at the start of January. He was out here for the whole month.
Yeah.
So he was here for 28 days before you fought on the 29th in year 2000. I
never got to see him.
No, you never got to see him. But the whole, he was in Brixton, he was in Manchester, he was everywhere. It was madness.
Yeah.
Obviously, he'd been out of prison.
I remember all of that.
Yeah.
But I was locked away in Aldershot. I was over in Aldershot.
So you were training in the army camp,
the army base. Okay. Yeah. So just before he came over, I have a daughter that was born 2 months before the fight.
Yeah.
Right. So my daughter Jada, she was born 2 months before the fight.
She's a DJ now, she?
Yes, DJ Jada Kai. Yeah. Plug.
I had Kaz texting me, your ex texting me,
Yeah.
mate, if you need any DJs at your festival, Bournemouth Sevens, check out this, send me all the links.
So, so I, when I even go into kind of like just a side note with her, and I think Jada was destined to be kind of in front of the cameras or behind the cameras or whatever, because she was on the day after the fight, the morning after the fight. There's a picture of me and her in the papers, newspaper, when she's 2 months old, which I cherish. I do cherish that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, leading up to the fight, obviously I was British champion.
Yeah.
I'd fought Pele Reid, Danny Williams, Scott Welsh 99. Yeah. And that was a rematch with Scott, because Scott had beaten me a few years earlier.
And was that York Hall or Royal Albert?
No, I fought Scott. I think I fought Scott at the London Arena.
Okay. I
fought Danny Williams at the Albert Hall.
Albert, that's right. Yeah.
And Pele at the York Hall.
York. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you had your big one in Manchester coming up.
And then
in 2000.
but then that wasn't even on the cards,
okay.
No, because coming towards the end of the year, November, I was scheduled to fight another defence of the British title. And then there was news or talk of Tyson, because Tyson had problems in America. So there was talk about him coming to Europe.
Yeah.
So, and it didn't even kind of really occur to me that I would fight him, you know? So I didn't really think anything of it. And I was actually, at the time I was with my trainer, and we was looking to fight. Someone had made some offers to go to South Africa. So we was kind of like
focused elsewhere.
Yeah.
So when was the day you got the phone call from Frank Maloney?
I wouldn't remember the actual day.
Yeah.
But Frank he just called me out of the blue. He just called me out of the blue and asked me and said to me, look, Tyson might be coming to England. Would you fight him? And it didn't take 2 seconds for me to say, yes, of course I would. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I fight Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind, as a fighter, especially as a heavyweight fighter, wouldn't want to fight and put your wits against one of the best
ever
and biggest names in the game?
Yeah.
And it didn't take me 2 seconds to say yes.
When you did take you 2 seconds, how long did you sit back and go, yeah, Frank, I'm in for this? How long did it take you to go, how much am I going to get?
No.
Was it none of that?
No, because it wasn't an issue.
It wasn't on your mind at all?
Years before this, when I was 1986, 87, Tyson won the world title. I sat in my friend's house, my friend John Williams, God rest his soul. We sat in his place and watched Tyson win the world title.
Yeah.
And John said to me, and I'd only been boxing a couple of years. I'd only been boxing a couple of years as an amateur. And he said to me, you could beat this guy, you could fight this guy, you could beat this guy. And I'm like, John, that's fucking Mike Tyson. When I say this, I'm not talking like, I'm preparing to become a professional boxer.
Yeah.
I'm an amateur fighter who has done nothing in the game, has done absolutely nothing in the game. And at that point there, my chances of meeting Mike Tyson, or even much less seeing him, is zero, So he's this major star in the world.
Yeah.
I'm Julius Francis from Backwater Woolwich, from nowhere. You know what I mean? I ain't even done nothing in the amateur game.
How long was your training camp for?
For the Tyson fight. Well, I'd already been training, because I was training actually leading up to November. Well, I think I had a fight scheduled for November, maybe December. So I would already been training. I was already in camp training. So plus my daughter was going to be born. So I was in training. Then when the talk started about that, and I think I was told Or it was confirmed for me to fight Tyson at the end of November. I think it was the end of November, the beginning of December.
So you had 8 weeks, really, not 8 or 9 weeks till the fight on the 29th of Jan.
Yeah, kind of like that because...
Who brought Mike Tyson over? Frank Warren brought him over.
Yeah, it was Frank Warren.
So Frank Warren and Frank Maloney have put this together at Manchester, the MEN.
Yeah.
When you got in the ring that night, what was going through your head as you were having your hands wrapped?
That was and you know, leading up to it, and I say it was my time, and I always said it was my time. I didn't care that this guy had all these different things. He'd been in prison, he'd done this, done that. Our paths were destined to meet at some point because years previous, Tyson had come to England and he'd partied in New Cross. When I was in Nick at the time, all right, but my mates had partied with him and they'd got photographs of him, showing me photographs of him and Tyson. So I know that I would have been at that party.
Yeah.
So our paths were destined to meet at some point, you know. Leading up to the fight, I remember the morning of the fight, that Saturday morning, one thing I wanted to do, I wanted to go and have a shave and haircut. So my guys took me round they found the barbers, my security team and that, found the barbers, went round in Manchester somewhere, I don't know. When I got a shave and haircut. Then I went back to my room and I normally would just go to my room and chill out, watch TV, play some games or whatever, sleep. That would be me. Frank comes to me and says, right, Julius, we're going to Old Trafford. We're going to watch a football. Right?
What, before the fight?
Yes.
On the day?
Yes. Man United must have been playing, they might have been playing Newcastle or something like this. I can't remember exactly. So, and I'm like, Frank, I don't want to go. Why the fuck do I have to go? Yes. He's insistent on me going. So I go. Walk down there, not walk down and get the transport down there and then walk in and whatever. And there's a few people saying that, but they're mainly interested in the football. So anyway, I'm sitting there. I think you got Bobby Charlton and some of the dignitaries. So I'm up by, and I'm not really focusing on them as such, but kind of like I'm around some very important people, and it's nice. And then they go, right, Frank's saying to me, you go down, he's kind of do, and all in a kind of fluster, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're going, you're going down, So they bring me down to the touchline at half time in Manchester at that time, at Man United at that time. You go down and there's a trombola in the middle of the centre circle.
Yeah.
They want me to run out from the touchline to the centre circle, pick out a number, and someone in the crowd to get a couple of grand or something like this. It had been raining that day. So I'm standing, I've got trainers on, I'm going, fucking hell. If I slip over, this is going to look so bad. This is going to look terrible. Why the fuck, Frank? Why? But it was one of the best things he ever did.
Yep.
So as my foot steps over the bloody line and I start running to the centre circle, jogging to the centre circle, this roar comes up. And it's something that I've never experienced before, that roar. And I'm saying to myself, how the fuck do these footballers, they do this week in, week out. And it's a roar that just goes through, resonates all through your body. And I'm saying to myself, Jesus Christ. So I go and I pick out the number and then I jog back. And it's one of the most exhilarating but scariest things I've ever done. You know, the roar of these people, and they're calling for me, they're calling out my name and whatever. And it's fantastic.
Isn't it funny how he got you to do that for promo when you got the big fight that night?
But when I go to, so I'm in front of, and that is in Old Trafford.
70 plus thousand.
So it's like wherever it was, 60,000 or whatever. So I go now to the MEN Arena I walk out for the fight. This is for the fight. 'Cause I've already been around to the ring already prior. But when I get there, there's 23,000. It's 23,000 like I'm in my living room now. So it's not. So Frank had done his job.
Okay.
Psychologically, Frank had done his job because I'm not coming out into this and being like starstruck and like a cat in headlights. You know, I'm there, and it's these people are there for me, regardless of whether they're called in Tyson's name or whatever they're fans of Tyson, whatever. All these people are there for me. That's how I'm thinking.
Did you, before going into that fight, did you 100% think you could win that fight?
Yeah, 100. Because you got to remember when Frank had Tyson had fought Franz Bofer.
Yeah.
It had, I think the fight before me, I think was Franz Bofer. I think it was that one. And he didn't look so great. All right, and he stopped him, but he didn't look great. And I knew that I could box. I knew that I had a good jab. And I knew I could punch as well.
Did you know that Frank had done a deal to put the mirror on the bottom soles of your shoes before you got into the ring?
Right, so that goes down to Kaz.
Okay.
Because
your ex?
She
was PA to Lennox.
Yes, she was Lennox's PA.
Yeah.
Right, Kaz was PA to Lennox. And that was her job. And then obviously she did all my stuff.
Yeah.
So what her job was basically was she actually kind of helped put that fight together as well. With Frank and them. She done all the sponsorship. So when going through camp, I'm in camp, I'm doing what I'm doing, train, I say, Frank, I need a pair of boots. I need a pair of boxing boots. So then they come up with the idea of putting the mirror. Yeah.
How did you feel when they knew that was going to go?
I didn't care.
So you didn't care?
I didn't care, no, because that wasn't my focus.
But was there any part of your mind going, if my team are selling sponsorship on the bottom soles of my boots, are they feeling I'm not going to win this?
No.
Or did they feel like they're doing it?
It was
a money. It was an earner.
It was an earner. Yeah, but it was an incentive for me to stay on my feet.
Yeah.
Because someone else said about putting it on the bum of my shorts.
Yeah.
On the and I thought that was even worse. So I said no. I said I'd rather if you're going to do it, put it on the soles. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because that's not my focus.
Yeah. My
focus is there. That's that guy there. You know.
How much did you get for the Mike Tyson fight?
It's out there, but 350.
350.
Yeah, 350 grand.
Was that life changing for you at the time?
It is a life changing amount of money if you get it for nothing. But if you equate that, I'd been a pro for roughly 7 years. Break that down over 7 years. It's not really. It's just the average wage.
So how much roughly were you getting a fight for how much did you roughly get for the Klitschko fight a couple of years before? Are you talking $5 grand? 10 grand, 20s, 30s?
Maybe in the 20s.
20s, okay.
Yeah.
So you're going from 20s to 350. That's a massive jump. Massive.
Well, yeah. Plus, I had the Danny Williams, Pele Reid, and Scott Welsh fights.
How much roughly would you get for the Danny Williams fight?
So I'm not sure. I think Danny. I got Danny and Pele. I think I got 50 grand or something like
each
that.
Each one. Okay.
Something like that.
So 350 would have been a nice little earner for that night.
Yeah, but again, like I say, it's not. It's what you break it down over the period of time that you've been fighting. So
what did you do? Were you advised well on your money?
I was frivolous. I spent it on money. I had women and wine. That's what I did. Yes. No, it's not about. I'll tell you what it is as well with me. I've never been money driven.
Yeah.
So, and I think again going back to my childhood, it was kind of easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll freely admit I've made mistakes. You know, so now when I talk to young people and when I talk to people in the game, fresh in the game, that's what you have to do. Look after your money.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, make wise choices and wise investments.
Yeah. I had a little look this morning on YouTube at the fight.
Mm.
Talk me through the fight there. Like you've gone out, you've tried to take his head off, and then all of a sudden, bam, he's giving you an uppercut. Can you remember that uppercut?
You know, which is what's funny. Now when I look back, and you can't take away anything about what he did, and it turns out that he was that good.
Yeah.
As far as I was concerned, he was that good, and I believe that the Tyson that I fought would have beaten Lennox. I think the Tyson
Okay.
I fought came in on weight. Yeah. He came in on his championship weight.
He was in good nick, wasn't he?
He was in fantastic shape.
And how old would he have been? 33? What were you?
32. He would have been...
He's a couple of years younger than you, isn't he?
3 years younger than me,
Okay.
yeah. So he's been 32.
Okay.
I was 35.
Yeah.
And he was in fantastic shape. He got himself in shape. He had no problems, no issues. He was ready to go.
Were you feisty with each other before?
No.
Not at all. Was there respect there? Was there?
Yeah, as far as I was concerned. But this is the thing. All through camp, Frank was in camp with Aldershot. He'd come down 3 or 4 times a week. See how
You're Frank, man. Like, okay, yeah.
And he would just go on at me. Tyson does this. Tyson does that. He's done this at press conference. He's done that press. Drove me mad.
Yeah.
Drove me absolutely. And so by the time I've got to Manchester, and he's talking about, I'm like, Frank, I don't want to fucking hear his name. Mm. Right? So I'm ready to go, and I'm in fight mode. We have the press conference. But let me just tell you, prior to that, the day before that. So we drive up to Manchester. We've got our I think it's a 16-seat bus. Driving up to Manchester, we stop at some service station somewhere. I don't even know where it was. Going to the service station, my team. All of a sudden, they looked to their left, and it's all the Tyson's team is over there. And I kind of was oblivious to this, but the guys are telling me afterwards that it nearly kicked off.
Yeah.
Because, it was a face-off between them lot. So I'm like, well, get to Manchester now and get out of the van and going, right, yeah, just have a stretch of our legs. Just, have a walk around before we go to our hotel. Unbeknownst to me, we've parked right round the corner from Tyson's hotel. We've walked round the corner, and I don't know this, but Tyson is up in the window. Is that? There's I think it's there's a YouTube thing of it where Tyson's out the window talking to the crowd of people. Right. There was a load of people outside his hotel, and he's out the window. I've come round the corner. Unbeknownst to me, Tyson's out the window. Unbeknownst to him, it's kind of like people have gone, "There's Julius Francis." So it was madness. And that's the only time that I felt fear. When the crowd of they're not trying to harm me or hurt me or anything, but they just want to touch me.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, my guys have kind of corralled me, and there's a police van. So they push me towards a police van, get me on, so I'm on the step of the back of the police van. So I'm above the crowd, but they're going, it's getting too crazy. Julius going mad. So anyway, one of my guys just hauls me up and throws me on top of the roof of the police van. So I'm standing on top of this police van. Tyson's there, I'm standing on top of the police van. We've got all this crowd here, like 2,000 or 3,000 people, whatever it was. And I'm going, whatever, waving to the crowd, whatever. Then this police van, because it's getting mad, so this police van so they sit me down and they just drive me away. So I think we went to the police station, then got on it. And it was just one of those impromptu things. You couldn't have scripted it.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But yeah, it was mad. It was mad. And then the next day, I think we had the press conference. And I knew that they wouldn't ask me any questions. So I went there, I had my headphones on and my glasses on. Didn't care. They asked me one question. All the press asked me one question. They know about me. and they're not really interested. So next thing, Crocodile starts coming in.
So Crocodile's Tyson's right hand
right,
man.
yeah,
He
was his kind of cheerleader.
Yeah,
man.
the hype man.
Yes.
Yeah.
He starts coming in, and then my trainer Mark Rowe, he starts getting because he was to tear into him. So and so we got a row of desks here, and then a lower row of desks, like, and other fighters that run the undercard or whatever. So I'm saying to him, I'm sitting at the table and thinking, right now, if Tyson comes up on the stage and stands over me, then he's won. So because he's going to be looking down at me, and he's the dominant figure. I'm a big man, so as he comes up on the stage, and I stand up now, and I'm all what Frank has been putting in my head. Excuse me. All what Frank's been putting in my head for all this time in training camp. Tyson said this, and Tyson said this to a fighter, and he's intimidating. He's going to do this. So I'm going right now. As soon as if he says anything, we're going to kick off on stage. It's going to be a fight on the stage because that's what I'm ready for. And he comes up, and he's just like, he has a half little smile on his face, and he's just very kind of quiet and respectful. And that's it. He doesn't really say nothing. I don't say, but I'm ready to just kind of if it goes off, it goes off.
Yeah.
So, and it was kind of really weird because he in a way he kind of disarms you, you know. But that's that other side of him. That's the
Jekyll
other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the Jekyll and Hyde of him. But then when we get into the ring, and and this is the thing with the fight, that gets in the ring, and we've been training obviously to fight that guy. He comes in, does exactly what Mark says he's going to do. Comes in, steps left, steps right, throws a right hand, hits me. In my head, I'm like, who the fuck are you hitting? Who the fuck? Because that's kind of my nature, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, you can't hit me. You're not allowed to hit me. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah,
that's going through my head. So we just get into it, and I knew that if you can't, and if you don't get the man's respect, then you're fucked.
Yeah,
and that's the type of person he is, and I don't know if that's the type of person I am as well.
Did you really feel the atmosphere? Because the atmosphere was electric there that night. Did you feel it, or when you're going in the ring fighting Tyson, is everything cut off around you?
Yeah, basically. You know, I remember my friend Mickey Finn had done my music.
Yeah.
So he'd done Bo Selector. He'd done a rewind of a remix of Bo Selector for me. So I've got my music playing. The army have drafted the drummers, so I get drummed in and walked in by the army guys, the guys at Aldershot Army Base. So as far as I'm concerned, by the time I get to the ring and by the time I'm standing in front of Tyson, you can't trouble me. You can't do anything to me. And yes, it was a great atmosphere, fantastic atmosphere, but I wasn't there for the atmosphere. I'm there to fight this guy.
Yeah.
You know? So it was I could say it was one of the best nights, but the worst nights because I lost.
Yeah.
You know? And you couldn't have told me that I was going to lose against Tyson. Even though as good as he is and as good as he was, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared to go in there and lose. I wasn't prepared to go in there. But it was that the guy was that good.
Do you know how much Mike Tyson got paid to fight you?
7 million. So he got, and I'm like this. I never came into boxing to become a millionaire. And I you know, it's this thing that you go, is it possible? It might be, but I don't know. When I turned pro, and I remember my first trainer, again, God rest his soul, Dean Powell, he had a few fighters up at the Thomas and Beckett gym one day. We was up there training. And he kind of gathered us all around and he asked us what we wanted to get out of boxing.
What did you say?
I said I wanted to be British champion.
Okay.
I didn't know who was British champion at the time. I didn't know how hard it would be to be British champion. But I became British champion. I won a Lonsdale belt. I've travelled around the world. I've faced some of the biggest names in the game.
Yeah.
So it's a bonus. I've done everything that I set out to do, plus so much more.
Massive respect, mate.
You know?
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, this little kid from backwater South East London.
Yeah.
You know?
How did your life change after that fight?
Kaz don't want to hear it. But yeah, lots of women.
Lots of women.
It's kind of like it's yeah, you get invited out more and club. I was never a big drinker anyway. I was never really a drinker. Up until I finished my career, I never really drank. You know. So yeah, that wasn't a thing for me. But I did like to go out and I like to see people and whatever. But I was never, it was like I'd go out and enjoy myself, you know.
Did you enjoy the fame?
I don't know. It's because fame, I think fame is not everything that it's cracked up to be. You know, you can be famous or you can be infamous.
Yeah.
You know?
What would you rather be, famous or infamous?
Oh, I don't know which one's the best. I don't know. People say, it's
Bit of both.
Yeah, I suppose. And I kind of, right now, when I look back on my life, I think I'm both of those things anyway.
100%.
You know? Because
everyone likes you, Julius. That's the beauty of it. Whether you're famous or infamous, everyone likes you.
I have a lot of people that do actually like me and respect me. And I think I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. Because I've only ever been true to me, you know, and been true to the
You've been a good mate to a lot of people.
Yeah. I suppose, you know, and people that I've grown up with and people that I've been around, they can say, and I can say that I've liked them and loved them and helped them. Yeah. You know, in whichever way I could. You know, and it's funny. I was working at an event this weekend, and at the end of the night, some guys came up to me, "Sir, you're Julius Francis, isn't you?" I said, "Yeah." And, you should teach me in school. I said, "I should teach me." Don't you? He actually said to me, "Don't you remember me?" I said, "No." He said, "You used to teach me boxing in school." And I'm like that. I said, "Hold on, you're a big man with a beard," and then about 4 or 5 of them went, "Yeah, Julius. Yeah, you went." I'm like, wow. Yeah. And I'm looking at these guys and going, Jesus Christ, you know. And they're going. One of them actually took my number because he wants me to do some work for him. And they're going, yeah, I remember the things that you taught us in school. So if I can leave that
amazing
as a
legacy,
kind of legacy, to say that these young people now, some of these young people now, remember the lessons that I taught them, then it's something. I must have done something right.
So tell me, you've been like this. It's fascinating, this, Julius. We can go on for hours here, but you've got the boxing career, but behind the boxing career, you've got a 40-year career on the doors.
Yeah, there's also that.
Which I want to touch upon now because that's our world. I think
but it's not been straightforward.
No, it hasn't. Yeah. But for the time you've started on the door to where you are now. But I want to go straight into the one that everyone wants to know about at the Boxpark Wembley. God. Tell me about that time when you absolutely pummeled that kid on a right-hander to shut him up.
Yeah, well, the whole incident started over him having a glass bottle inside the venue.
Okay.
So Right. So as it happened, I've come back from my lunch break. I was on the front doors. One of my guys had called me 2 minutes. I'm standing there 2 minutes. One of my guys calls me and says, "Oh, Julius, there's a guy in there. He's got a bottle." So I say, "All right, then, look, just ask him to take the bottle. Going to put it in the cloakroom. When he's leaving, he can take it."
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. 2 minutes later, I get another call. "Can you meet us by one of the vendors?" The group of guys, he has wanted to drink the drink, but because one of my other guys has said no, he's taken the drink and threw it on him.
Yeah.
So I go there. As soon as I hear that, I say, "Guys, right, so you have to leave,
yeah.
right? The group of you have to leave." Or him especially,
Yeah.
he has to leave, but a group of you. Then he all of a sudden, I'm talking, one of the other guys, I know him, he starts talking to me. This one disappears, but I see him going upstairs.
So the one who had the bottle, is that the one who had the purple bandana on,
yes,
on his head?
Yeah, he was blue bandana.
Blue bandana, yeah.
Yeah. He disappears, and then all of a sudden I see him going upstairs in Boxpark's 2 levels. He disappears into the toilet, so I follow him. Go to the toilet, he's not in there, so I'm looking, I don't see him. So he's dived in one of the cubicles. All of a sudden, I've called my manager as well, so just to me. So as my manager gets to the door, he comes out of one of the cubicles. I say, "Boss, look, can we just have a word?" As I say that, he just starts growling and like throwing his hands up in the air and this, that, and the other. He barges past me and my manager. Then he starts knocking people's drinks over and on the tables and people's food. And he starts spitting on people, spitting on me. So he does a lot.
Yeah.
He does a lot. Eventually we get him downstairs and the guy, but we're not allowed to go hands on. Corral him out to the door, and then at the door is where the video, someone starts filming. And then you see what he does. He's very aggressive. And I always say this. The last thing I want to do on the door is hit someone.
Yeah.
Because I have done maybe 30 odd years again, nearly 40 years again of fighting, hitting people, hitting things. I was a kickboxer, taekwondo, boxing. I've done all of these things. So I know what I used to do in gloves. So much less what I'm going to do with a...
And the size of those shovels as well, Jesus.
They're not little.
Look at the size of
So, and I've always said, that's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Not just that I don't want to do it, but it's dangerous.
Very, yeah.
And I don't really like being taken out of my space, out of my nice, the person I want to be.
Yeah.
I don't always want to be this aggressive, horrible, grinding at people, because that's not what we want to do, especially on the doors, And people sometimes have to realise and remember that, yes, that guy looks old or looks young, but he doesn't do this job for no reason.
Yeah.
He's in that position because he knows something, And it just happened that he ran into me at that time.
He ran into, mate. You know what I loved about it, watching it, is that you just stayed behind the lads who were there trying to push him out. He got super aggressive, didn't he? And then I think he took a right hander at one of your doormen. Yeah. And then you were just like, hold on a minute. And I just saw you you kind of moonwalked back out, waiting for him to come out, didn't you?
I wanted to, because he directed a lot of his aggression towards me. Yeah. But I weren't involved in the first instance. Yeah. So I don't know why he was directing his aggression to me. Mm. And then as far as I was concerned, I wanted you to move away from the venue. So move away from the venue, but don't come to me. And then, as he did, and he raised his hand, and I kind of, it was one of those situations where in my head, it was already over before it was over. Because it was, me putting him out had already happened before he was out. In my head, it's one of those.
So it just needed to be done.
Yeah. It was, and I wouldn't say that.
It was a clean shot.
Yeah, and I'm thankful that he didn't whack his head. I'm thankful he didn't. It weren't a broken nose or bleeding. There was it was just clean shot out. He was put in recovery position.
Yeah.
He came to a couple of minutes later. And then the other thing is he went away after that incident, went away and got himself nicked.
Did he?
Yeah.
What for?
For I think something to do with the police. He pushed the policeman, or he was yeah. It was
what was going through your head? You knocked him out clean. Good night. I think everyone who's watched it, it's gone viral around the world. As you say.
Viral, crazy.
What was that feeling like afterwards, knowing that you've done that? Someone's caught it on a camera, because we grew up in the days where no one was filming nothing. All of a sudden,
I was horrified.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I was absolutely horrified when I think the next day, that was the Saturday. The Sunday, we had another celebrity come in to do a talk, so didn't think anything of it. The next day was my day off. So I have the Monday, then Tuesday's my day off. I'm on my way home Monday night. One of my guys calls me and says, "Oh, Julius, have you seen this video?" I said, "Yeah, I've seen the video." He showed me. He said he's got like 500,000 views. And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. The next morning, my phone goes off. I'm at home, my phone goes off. Julius, the video's got 2 million views. It's got 5 million views. And then my phone didn't stop ringing.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep. Didn't stop ringing. So, and then what was crazy, my dad's over here. My dad gets a phone call from my cousins in St. Lucia. I haven't told my dad. I haven't seen my dad until the Thursday. I haven't said anything to him. Then I go up and see him, and he's like, "Have you got something to tell me?" I said, "What?" And he said, I've had my people from my family in St. Lucia telling me that you was on TV, or you was on the news or something." And I said, "Oh no." Yeah, it was just, it was crazy.
What happened in your world that week after the social media clip went viral?
Yeah. That was, it was crazy. It was actually crazy. My phone never stopped ringing. Social media. I was because social media was very, very new to me, as in going viral.
Yeah.
Yes, I have Instagram, and yes, I have WhatsApp or whatever, and I'm like an old dinosaur. But it was actually quite scary, because, and I say it was scary for the simple reason that when I was fighting, news reporters would come and stick a microphone in your face and go, "Can I ask you a question about this? Can I answer?" Here, you don't even have to, like, someone can film you from
out of control, isn't it?
15 feet away, and you're, all of a sudden you're a major, either celebrity or a villain or whatever, and it's kind of, I'm glad and really happy that there was context.
Yeah.
And I think through all the messages I got and saw on social media, I only saw maybe out of the thousands and thousands that I viewed and saw, I only saw about maybe 5 or 10 that were negative.
Yeah. Was there anything, when you're laying there at night, did you lose sleep at all when you're laying there at night after you'd done that, of what the repercussions could be?
Yes and no, because I don't like I said earlier, I don't like to have to lash out, because knowing kind of that I do have a kind of this darker side of me, and if someone pulls that out, then where do you go?
Yeah,
And it's kind of, yes, I'm glad that I was working, and it was only one and done.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's not nice. It's not nice. It's people say to me, "Oh, Julie," and they've said over the last couple of years with that incident, "Oh yeah, Julius, can you train me and teach me how to knock someone out?" And I say, no chance.
Yeah.
Because that's not what boxing was ever about for me when I first started boxing. It was about, I got drawn into boxing because I was fascinated with it and I couldn't do it. I wanted to learn.
Do you know who that lad was? Has he come and apologised? Has anyone piped up? Or?
I don't know. I know his second name is Johnson.
Yeah.
Something Johnson. And then I was at my other place of work, and one of the guys who knew him, who knows this kid, he said to me that he wanted to come and apologise to me.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I said,
if he's out there, if he's listening and watching this, or we know his name, leave some comments down below. It'd be good to get him on to see his side.
Well.
Or an apology, he might be quite nice.
You know, it's kind of...
It's done and dusted.
Yeah, it's done and dusted. And I think... it's kind of like those lessons that sometimes have to be learned by people.
That's a tough lesson.
You know? Yeah, it is, because at the end of the day...
he won't do it again.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. And I hope that would be a lesson for lots of other people that do go out to nightclubs to have... arguments and fights and all occasion with door staff.
Yeah.
You know, because I say this as well, as far as being a doorman is concerned, it's not a nice job when you're getting abused because someone is either drunk or on drugs or is not allowed in the venue for whatever reason. It's not necessarily our fault. We're there just doing a job like anybody else's job.
Have you ever been on the doors and thought, I could lose my life here?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, there has been a couple of times, you know what I mean? Like one, for instance, I'll give you a couple, but one, for instance, I was working at a club in Deptford. It used to be. It was actually owned by an old-time gangster.
Do we know who he is?
Well, I don't know if I could drop his name though. No. I'm not sure if I could. But he's passed away now.
Yeah.
But he was funny. He was funny, and his favourite word was "CUNT." Yeah, see you next Tuesday. That was his favourite word. He'd scream out everywhere. Da da da. He was funny. But one particular night, it kicked off inside the club. I was on the door, but the guys dealt with it inside. So these guys, about 4 or 5 guys came out. They slung them out quite early in the evening, about 11, 12 o'clock, something like that. So the club used to run till 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm standing on the door. One door is open. It was a double doors. One door is open, one door is closed because it's about 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in the morning. And the door, when you come out the door, is quite a big path, you know, quite a big pavement, about 8 or 9 foot pavement. So anyway, I'm standing on the door. Next thing, and I remember clear as day, this white BMW screeches up, and a guy jumps out the car, and he's got a handgun, and he's pointing at me. And he's screaming, and all I'm doing is looking down the barrel of the gun. And I'm saying to myself, right, if I try and duck, he's going to shoot. If I stand there, he's going to shoot. What are you going to do? So I just stood there. I just stood there and looked. And I don't know if he thought I was crazy or whatever, but I was kind of rooted to the spot because I didn't know what he was going to do. And he just screamed and shouted, he screamed, and then jumped back in the car and sped off.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking hell. The next day, my boss had got these guys back in to come and apologise for what they did.
Quality.
So that's how much he had
respect.
Yeah, that's how much he had respect. So, that was one instance. But there's been many. There's been like when guys have. I worked at another place over in Camden, the Electric Ballroom.
Oh yeah, nice club.
So
yeah,
but we used to work there, and I'm talking about it would have been the early. I'll tell you when it was. It was the early 90s, very early 90s. We used to work a rockers night, like heavy metal rockers night, and they used to come in, and before they come, they get searched. They'd be pulling out knives and bats, and we'd give them a ticket for their, like, because we used to.
They'd hand it in. There's a ticket. They'd hand it in. Was that right?
Yes, and they'd get them back. That was what
that's
they
how
did.
It was. Yeah,
that's what they did. So, and I remember it kicked off. It kicked off on their bikers, and then bikers, they don't fuck about.
They don't care. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but we had to just lock the doors, hold the doors, and then get the chains and bats out because it was one of those nights. But there's been on occasion, it's crazy.
Have you had knives pulled out on you before?
Yeah. I've been stabbed and shot at.
You've been shot at?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Actually, it was Abbey Wood. In Abbey Wood, we kicked off down there with gypsies, and it was like if you've ever seen the movie Warriors. It was like that. We had to run Abbey Wood all the way Plumstead back to Woolwich. One of those kind of nights.
Yeah.
And we like they shot at us. We was going through Thamesmead because it was one of those nights. But shotgun blast over the head. Yeah.
Woolwich, right?
Oh my!
Is a tough place, and when you grow up there, you know it is what it is.
Yeah.
There's some tough people come out of Woolwich. A lot of bank robbers as well have come out of Woolwich.
Yeah.
A lot of bank robbers.
Yeah.
Do you ever come across your time, Lee Murray?
Oh.
And those. Yeah.
Yeah, Lee was like, as we say, as they do say, he was one of the youngest.
Yeah.
Like he came up underneath me. Like he was, like Lee had a little crew. He was a bit naughty. He was a bit naughty.
Good fighter.
A great MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And I actually sparred with him.
Did you?
Actually, like later on in life, I actually sparred with him when he was getting. I don't know what fight he was getting ready for, but we sparred together. Very strong, very naturally very strong.
Quick.
But again, Lee was making lots of moves back then. You know, there was Lee, Mark Epstein, because they all knocked about together.
Yeah. Mark's coming on Monday, in fact.
Yeah?
Coming down on Monday, yeah. He's coming on the show.
Mark was crazy. I remember Mark. Mark used to be, he was one of those, he was like, he was really into his hip hop. And he would always say, and I always used to curse him for it. I always used to cuss him for it because he'd always say the N-word. Yeah. And I never liked it, you know? And he'd come up and say, yo, man. And I say, no. I said, no, Mark, no. Because I just don't use the word anyway. But yeah, Mark, there was a few of them. There was a few guys that come up, the younger fighters, but they weren't necessarily into boxing. They was all MMA. They went to MMA down that road because that was the new thing.
Was the new thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, we all knocked about Barnfield, Woolwich Common, Barnfield. There was a bit of rivalry between the two as well because they're two different estates, two different big estates. But a lot of us used to come together. If there was any outside influences or outside kind of trouble, then we would all come together. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Barnfield was the place to be. The wall at Barnfield. That's where everybody congregated. We did our little bits of dealing and, yeah, making money and robbing people. It was crazy.
How would you explain Julius looking back over your 20s, 30s and 40s? Did you change in each decade?
I think so, because I think I've had to, because when I was, especially in my 20s, my late teens, early 20s, I was very angry.
Yeah.
Very angry. I had a lot of anger.
When did the anger go slightly going away?
I don't know. I think you have to curb it, and I think again with the birth of my children.
How many kids you got?
5, 3 boys, 2. 3 boys, 3 girls, 2 boys.
Yeah, nice.
And then I have 2 stepchildren as well. So
you,
it's 7 really.
Yeah.
So
all the same woman?
No.
I don't be stupid.
Don't curse me like that. No, and I I'm lucky that I do have a good relationship with all of them except one, because my last one, unfortunately, she passed away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear.
But yeah, I think in my teens and 20s, early 20s, I was very, very angry because of what I felt that I hadn't been given.
Yeah.
Which was, and what I needed was a lot of love.
Yeah.
Although, and I kind of won't say that my foster parents didn't give me love, but I lost my mum. I actually found my mum dead when I was 15.
Wow.
So that was a big, that's a big, and it was never, I didn't ever feel that it was addressed or talked about,
Have you addressed it? Have you addressed it today? You're 60 years old now. Have you addressed that from your mum being age of 15?
I don't know, because when you, and I think what I did, when I came out of my last relationship, I just said to myself, I'm going to be on my own. Yeah. Because I wanted to do some self-reflecting and just concentrate on me. Yeah. So, and then I've been able to half process it, but still, I'm still angry because of the things that I didn't get, where people should have been there for me.
Yeah.
So it still does leave resentment.
Yeah, okay. And what's the future for Julius today? 60, wise man, got an eventful life.
Wow. I always say I've led a very colourful life.
You have.
I have led a very colourful life.
Yeah.
And I think now, I'm a granddad. I have four beautiful grandchildren.
Lovely.
So, I just want to be able to be one day just sit around, have my grandchildren around and just sit there and if they want to, Granddad, can you tell me about it? And who is this one? And who is that one? And yeah. So that kind of is that's the blessing.
Yeah.
And that's hopefully a bit of legacy that
you leave.
Yeah, that I can leave.
And it's nice to be able to do a podcast like this to leave legacy as well for your grandchildren.
Yeah, because they can, one day they're going to be able to see this.
Absolutely.
And say, was that really my granddad?
Yeah. Before we finish up, who have you worked on the doors with? Did you work with Lenny McLean and a few?
Yeah, back in the day, I worked with Lenny McLean, and honestly, I'm going to say this: I've worked with so many different guys, but I've forgotten. There was some kind of like some big names back in the day from Woolies. There was some real tough men, hard men. And I think what I've learned about in the door game, like in door or bouncing as it was, and it's always been known as. I've kind of learned you can be aggressive, but then you've got to have that soft side as well. And the one thing I have always learned and will always take with me, and I tell people this on a regular basis, trust no one.
Yeah.
So trust no one. And if you, I think it's that saying, if you prepare for war, but live in a garden.
Yeah.
Is that it? Or something like that?
Sure.
Or be a warrior in a garden. You'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a good friend of mine, Matt. Always used to say that, Matt Plowman. He was another, a good friend of mine, Matt Plowman.
Julius,
he taught me a lot.
Julius, before we finish up here, have you got any last words to say to your old man?
I don't know. It's difficult. I love him. I do love him, but I think he needs to reflect. I think maybe he has, but the sad side of it is that my brother, who I lost, will never know that I kind of never saw his pain.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the other side of it.
Yeah. Julius, I've absolutely loved this, mate. I've loved this.
Thank you.
What a proper good bloke. I can see why we all love you. You're really well loved around the country, mate. And I really hope people enjoy this episode to get to know you a bit more. Yeah, you're a proper gentleman.
Nice one.
Yeah, you're a good man.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Thank
Cheers,
you very
Julius.
much.
Take care, mate. Good man.
Good.
Quality. How good's that? How good was that?